Oh, we are in. I see it going. I see it going. This is a different setup here than I had my last one. So it took me a while to go ahead and realize it's actually rolling. All right. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Uh, Me myself, I'm doing okay. Even the eye of me is doing okay. Both of them, or all three of them, I should say. Been having, I guess, some flat tires along the way, whether it be in perception on my end, and even understanding, just simple, let's keep it in a simple form of understanding of different things that have been communicated and or uh, I've been inside of a simulation of, you know what I mean? And especially when we recognize it. And it's still sometimes very, very hard to distinguish, especially when we're going to some of the speeds and everything that we do, that we're going to, you know what I mean? And with all, like everybody's talking about, these different conjunctions and squares of planetaries and so forth that are upon us right now, retrogrades and those types of things. Uh, Trust me, I feel it. Okay, wait, feel it. It's been out. I haven't been out for a while, and that is kind of like, it's been refreshing actually, despite what one thinks, or one may think that a person, or suggest even that one needs, because it's everybody's on different planes, different things that go through. You know, only you really know you. You know, a lot of people have been, or may be able to view you from a different perspective and come up with all kinds of different things. You know, they come up with all kinds of different things because they're only really grasping you from a certain point A to a certain point B, which point B would be ending right here and right now. So even those who have been tracked for most of their lives, they can only, you know, to certain degrees, even as far as off of these phones here, or what have you not, via street camera, what have you not, they can only perceive what they, from their vantage point. And then they can go ahead and, you know, make their vantage points or advantage points or even disadvantage points in which they want to go ahead, add to, multiply, or even diminish whatever it is that they see, because of the fact that most of the time it's just straight, I'm not going to say it, just say immaturity. Let's go immaturity first. Then we may not understand, you know, we may not understand on a small scale to a grandiose scale, you know, grandiose. And so then that's when they go ahead and start projecting or trying to figure it out what is, or even give you a remedy to a diagnosis in which they are already off basis with, you know. Uh, with me, most, believe it or not, and this is where uh, I guess the schooling that a lot of people have had, especially in this world here that we're talking about right now, is simply colors. Simply colors. and how one made, my mother's favorite color was red. Her favorite color was red, of course, dealing with roses and so forth like that, and white and yellow, you know. And my Eugene, I guess he was actually colorblind, so it didn't necessarily matter with him. And so to speak, I guess in that same aspect, so too was I, colorblind to a lot of the nuances, and even through that whole colors, all of that, whether it be from the hood to a very what do you call it, Mardi Gras type of a stage in which flamboyant different colors are everywhere. You know what I mean? And because I've always looked at things with color, but not really, I guess, paying so much detailed attention. Like Mariah Rose, she got in there to be the artist and everything, so you got to pay detail. And so mine was mostly like black and white also. So maybe with that color blindness of Eugene, little Eugene, I did take upon some of that myself and everything. And so when I look at setups and everything, or just different color schemes, sometimes I get confused a little bit. And whether it be top to bottom, left to right, 90 degree angle, 45-degree angle, and then you got to flip it around and all kinds of different shit. Even I guess how YouTube has the format for the phones and everything on some of the phones right now. They flip the wording around to where I guess I think it's a mobile to where one cannot necessarily read that card correctly, but I mean not correctly, but they are reading it in the correct direction, meaning right to left. So one has to go ahead and get used to that and everything. And so these have been kind of my little hang-ups and everything. But for the most part, as far as energy, that right there is something that I do pretty good at. Pretty good. Not really, hey, I'm not saying I'm this and that or anything like that, but I do pretty good at it. And so, as the last post I put up right now was actually dealing with Carl Jung, okay? And he was talking about the sensitivity of those who, in a general sense, go through a great deal, okay? Chosen for different things, have these different things that we've been talking about right now, and on even heightened levels, I guess this collective, I'm going to go ahead and use the term collective and reflective community that I'm sitting up inside of here right now. Definitely goes ahead and I would say utilize them both and everything. And so again, now there are a lot of people who this is a genuine, born in he say inert gift. Or present. I like to say present, and the gift is poison. Present, that we are actually, if we're present, present to, and I say this a lot, keep on saying it, because we are pre-sent to these destinations in time, which we created, and outside of time, the interdimensionally. And so it's different. The interpretation is different for us and everything. And even our actions, interactions, and some of the things that we go through, my experience, especially as far as within the understanding of what we experience when we experience it. Now, I really got on here, and I'm just put at the top of this right here, because we're talking energy, all right? We're talking energy. And this is one young lady, and I love her, with everything that her energy, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed even, you know what I'm saying? And, go-getter, and I guess she's been set up at a time and inside of a world in which, she has a pretty nice platform there. And I heard something today that, that because of who she chose to be when she came inside here, okay, she actually chose to be a judge, to be able to judge. That's close to my name with Devere, okay, or Deborah, okay, Deborah being the first judge. So that's the masculine, feminine of even my own self, as in the Hebrew there, in the Ivrit, right? And that is Lady Daniela, Energy 333, and that it's crazy how the ethers just send you what you need. Not just for yourself though. You send you what you need really to go ahead and actually share. Unlike the, how do you say, the way that things are being extracted right now. What do I mean by that is, like, I prose to her within, because the thought form that she was, and I didn't have to take this personally at all, and I didn't. That's the reason why I jumped out here right now. But for those who are awakening and do go through different things inside of the mind, and misjudgments and all kinds of different things too, misinterpretations, you know what I'm saying? Or just don't even have the skills yet to even speak on it, to be able to even describe them, as Carl Jung is doing right now on the same subject. It will go ahead and send people into grasping at things or pointing them out to something that they might believe to be a diagnosis, like she had implied or just spoke directly to, where, it's an entity attachment, a dark entity attachment, even evil. And even that person may not be, is not his or her normal being and so forth. So that acknowledgement was good. Even with the remedy of the egg and salt, is the thing that I would just like to add to, or, caution it on, is not to necessarily even put even to a negative connotation in there, because some people might not be even as strong as myself. And then therefore, not to say that they'll turn a channel, most people turn a channel. And even whatever the good remedy, like we're getting back to the egg that we're talking about, and then a salt bath, and the different things we were talking about, they might not get to that portion right there. But it's not to say, hey, don't speak the good, bad, or the ugly, or what has been given to you to go ahead and ship out to those people who are on your particular platform. You know, it's not to stay that and everything, because everybody has their own journey, and everybody is given the words, given the they say even platform, okay, even platforms. A lot of people are given platforms and don't necessarily have I'm speaking on that because they don't necessarily have these tools, and a lot of those and everything will be like, you know, and just because they have a platform and you don't get to tell anybody how to run their platform. But a lot of the tarot and everything is simply learning the cards, yes, and then you have a communication style, which would be another thing, and at the same time, and you would go ahead and see, a lot of people don't put the cards up there on the table to where you see it, okay, and so they'll pull a card, have it all sitting sitting out there, and have their whole storyline, made up and everything, and whether or not they have a lot of followers or not, whether or not they're, being used or speaking truth through that, hey, that's up to each of you all, or each of us, to go ahead and decide, because we're the actual ones that's actually sitting here watching it, right? But a lot of them do not have these things that I'm sitting here talking about, okay? They just simply do have the platform because it's a job for them. They actually put in all kinds of different other work, okay, in order to receive these platforms and even the followers in which they do have upon their channel, So it's been enlightening. It's been enlightening for the most part. It's been enlightening, you know. And again, there's no haterism inside of that. Hey, more power to them, So it's just we just have to go ahead and definitely be more discerning into whether it be a witch, no, or whom we choose to go ahead and listen to, if we go ahead and listen to it at all. Now, even before, when I even got this phone right here, I started up, I looked at a few tarot card readers to say, hey, this is the reason why I stopped doing tarot. I'm not stopped doing tarot, but stopped listening to tarot, as far as, taking the whole day and take a whole day, like right now inside of mine, it's been like that in a general sense, because and I have to go through the intelligences also. These are the intelligences that we're talking about, even of Kabbalah. Okay, even of Kabbalah, as the collective intelligence is the 30th intelligence and so forth. Equal to that of the luminaries. Okay, and the earthly, according to I Ching, okay, would be 30, and then that of the earthly is 25 to give us the 55. All right, and so yeah, and each house, of course, is 30 degrees. So that gives us our 360 on that. And so looking at everything in that full 360, and not only that's 360, that's 720. We have to go ahead. We should. We don't have to do anything. We just should go ahead and look into all of that. Contemplate all of those things, and even use radical intelligence, which is like number 5 in Kabbalah, okay? Radical intelligence, to go ahead and try to decipher what's being said, and then even how to apply it, and if it's for you. As they said, hey, if it resonates, you take it. If it don't resonate, don't. Simple as that. And so this one here, it's been I guess to go ahead and give you a peep inside of this world, okay, inside of the Truman Show world. Besides of what you actually see, and you wonder what's necessarily going inside of people's minds and everything, you know, and and you create a platform for it, but it gets shadow banned, okay, because I guess it's too much light. It shows too much light coming through on different subject matters, and so even just I just the reason we were talking about what I started at the beginning point of being inside and coming out, you know, coming out and everything, and why it is so much peace at times to go ahead and rest and get, be inside because of all the different vibrations. Even like the lady who just walked by right now, she did speak, nod and everything, and her whole vibration. Oh my, it was pretty chill, but she had some different things going up underneath too, because just as soon as she, looked and say hi and everything, you saw the sullen color inside of her, melancholy inside of her when she jumped him off. As soon as you broke eye contact with him, and so this is what Carl Jung is talking about, okay? And this whole video that I just put on right there. All right. And so I was looking. I got a couple of stories for you. Even where I stay at right there, there's an OG, and he's like about 75 or 70, 72, we'll say, years old or what have you. Looks really young, but he's an OG. Been through a lot, motorcycle accident, all in his stomach and everything. And every time I do go out and I do see him and everything, we converse and everything. And most of the time, he tell me about the building across the street. Okay? Oh, butterfly came, cool. He tell me about the building across the street. He said, man, there's some people inside that damn building, man. Why the hell they got an empty ass building and everything around that across there and everything, you know what I'm saying? And all the buildings is damn empty and everything, And so he's got a paranoid, which is, I totally agree with him, okay? It's not really paranoia, but it's reality. But as like Daniela said, hey, paranoid, or people say he's paranoid or she's paranoid, that people don't necessarily like him or her, and honestly, a lot of people really don't give a hoot about that. Okay, a lot of us don't give a ratzinger about none of that. All right, as what's her name, cousin Linda. She put up a little post today, also talking about how she's protecting her peace, the protection and everything, and that's that's where everybody's at right now. You got to be protecting our peace. And so, even when I was talking to him last time, he said, "Man, I'm sitting down, going back through all kinds of, memories and so forth." And he's talking about particular conversations with uh, girlfriends and situations where he's remembering things and excuse me, how he's just going back over and over again. And I was listening to him right there because we're looking at the first quarter, this new moon. And then, like I say, Jupiter, I even shared that with him. I know it wasn't, much on him and everything. That was pretty quick. Yeah. Okay. She's doing good. That was the same lady. She just walked around the block. That's cool. She needed to get out. That's crazy, though. I didn't think I would actually see her again. And so, so I talked to him and everything, and he's like in that state a lot, almost like a repeat in the sense of, he's actually needing somebody to bounce things back off and everything, but I'm not necessarily that good because when I go ahead and speak, interject to speak on something, I guess it might be off his track of thought, which I think most of the time it's on, but maybe I'm off and everything. Okay, maybe I'm off, right? Or just want to add something in for him to go ahead and think about. But for the most part, people are just wanting to listen to you, to listen to them, and not really interject. For the most part, you do have people that do want to go ahead and have an actual conversation with you, and so that's what I'm experiencing with him. So I spoke on that just to go ahead and speak on that paranoia portion. Okay, and at the same time, like my last trip down here just to go ahead and get a few groceries, down here to this church and in Santa Monica. So this time now, this place right here, been, like I said, show you whether it be, I haven't seen any really over here, but especially when I get to Santa Monica, okay, is where all of the robot cars and everything show up, and when I went there this last time, there was actually a half black, or she's half black and half white, or light-skinned girl sitting on the bench with her head. She reminded me of like my little niece and everything, one of my nieces. And she was sitting on the bench, and this was different, way different. Never seen it before, so my whole entire life. So my antennas was up on that. Okay, and then when I go up inside of here, there's also these two ladies who are pretty tall by stature, but they're older. I'm talking about they're older, and I guess one was a teacher, and both of them looked like they were teachers, but they were older. I'm talking about body thin, dressed in black. Yeah, she was speaking. I don't remember. Right? Speaking all kinds of about programs and everything. Hey, did you think about this program over here? To get food and everything over here, and telephone program, for senior, and this over here and everything. Okay, right? And she worked at Santa Monica City College there as a I forget exactly what she did, but right now she's an advisor. Okay, she's an advisor. She did speak on these two African guys, that are mathematicians and everything, So this right here, threw up okay, I'm just listening to the conversation. That's all. Listen to the conversation. And then I do see another lady who I talked to, who actually turned me on to really some history that I knew about, okay, about Venice, California. And she turned me on to a person that wrote a book about it, okay, some time ago. I think I've told you her name, Anaj, And so I saw her there also. And so particularly with the lady, the two ladies. Now after I got my food and everything, I went to go ahead and put it inside my bag, and she followed me over to what I was doing, and actually even, you know, pointed out because she wanted to make sure that I knew about tomorrow. Go up to another place and be able to and grab some food over there, and then she can slip me her card and everything. Okay, so and on the card she says she is a private tutor, well, English tutor. There we go. She was English. So what her card basically said, the underground librarian. Okay, now now the underground librarian. Mm-hmm. So I take her card and so I'm just looking at everything because just that night or earlier that day, uh, I already knew, the same thing with the phones and everything. Anything that's free, they're getting paid off of it, and they're utilizing your numbers. Simple as that. It's just logic. So she's trying to get you signed up, and not only that, it's not just paid off of it. They're using your energy. Okay, just so your energy to go down and sign up and just converse and everything. That is the main thing. You know what I'm saying? Even as far as would be picket signs for riots, that we just had the LA riots and all that type of stuff. The pickets, it has nothing to do with the signs. Sometimes it's just simply the energy. The energy in which one can it produces a tornado. It produces that energy, which the loudness and everything, which, like, even though it was supposedly quiet, it produces what they want to go ahead and attract, which is that of the even when I was talking to the last time to you, two youngsters and everything from England came by and said, which way is the riots at? We want to go see. We want to go see. So it just takes the energy, and even them coming in too to stop and ask me was even taking some of my energy at the time. You see what I'm saying? So when we sit back here and analyze all this and everything, it is something. It is something. Okay? It is really something to where one does not necessarily want to be around, you know, any too many people, or even take a break from people. Period, because of the energy. You know, now even with this thing right here, I understand that energy right here. But there's no buts. At the same time, I am getting something off of it because for a lot of the time, whether it be positive or negative, I hadn't been around any type of people, okay? To even learn, not to learn, but to go ahead and, uh, to learn, to experience the colors, okay? To experience the different colors and vibrations of everybody that we're sitting up here talking about right now, these different situations. So it's something to go ahead and take in because my circle was really small, and then the interactions with people were really small for a lot of long periods of my life and everything. So the application of what I had learned, I was not able to actually put it into usage. Okay, so it's not to give any reason, but we're still on the subject matter of really sharing with, in particular, Lady Daniela, Goddess Energy, all right? Uh, Different aspects because as she, before time, took the name of Daniela, all right? Or I don't know, maybe it's just a work name. Maybe it's just a work name. All right. Even especially, coming from utilizing, the whole system, all the systems and everything, Bible in particular, right here, and even country of Dan. All right, Denmark. You know, uh, yeah, all of those things right there. And so, whether we're young or older, when we come and we become that, judge, goddess, which you should have that masculine quality inside of there too, because with the God, that's given to the masculine first, as far as for the English, and then the DESS makes it feminine. So that's the balance in that right there should be actually good, should be good, but a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times it's not. Goddess or diva, you know, all these types of things are titles in which, don't get me wrong, we are either there or we put ourselves there, or will be there because we projected ourselves to be there. So I would just suggest to go ahead and listen more. 36 on the clock. Yeah, that's Lee right there, huh? Ali. All right, 36 on the clock, and Anu. All right. So all those things and everything, it shows there's something to contemplate. Contemplate. All right. Something to contemplate when we're going ahead and making, an assessment on different things for actual remedies and so forth. Uh, one can, you can look also to see, and doctors are able to go ahead and say, for instance, the darkness is up underneath people's eyes. Why it might be darkness, you know what I'm saying? Okay, what might be deficient, right? What, and the diet, or even the intake, visual intake, or deficiency of sleep, all those things, one must go ahead and take into consideration, because even for, we know to say, for instance, collagen, when you get older, it starts diminishing unless you're actually going ahead and making sure you're, first of all, taking care of yourself just in general, and then eating those different fruits, and uh, I wouldn't suggest, these collagen pump in the face things, when collagen shots. I wouldn't suggest that too much, because you'll be having to do it for a long time, forever. But that's what people do in order to go ahead and stay looking young and vibrant. That's what people do, as we know. So, but we still we can't base it off of that, because you don't actually know until you actually know. So these are just some things, suggestions. One does, I don't have to take anything. You don't have to take anything. But yeah. So along with that right there, with the journey down there to Santa Monica, I did go ahead and did see Anaj again. I saw her again, and we exchanged numbers, and she actually had a directory for me to go ahead and take in a video, or take in a couple of videos of this guy who was a Baptist preacher and renowned speaker and what have you not. And so I did look at him for a minute, and we have totally different views on a lot of it, you know. But it was interesting to her, and so I went ahead and looked at it, and next time we see each other, we converse and everything, And so then at the same time, I had another experience to where on the bus and everything, and this lady, this Hispanic lady, she's older, okay, and we want to go ahead. I talked to her and everything. I asked her if she was married. I actually wrote it down. Was she married? Because I don't know if she spoke English or not. And so she spoke a little bit, and so I did talk to her. And she said her husband had passed away, and she's older, or maybe she's my age. Who knows? Maybe she's my age. But I thought she might have been just a little bit older. Might have been. And so I wanted to go ahead and start, speaking, have somebody to converse with Spanish. Because she got on the bus, it was pretty close to where, it was exactly one of the bus stops that I get up. Even though it was against my better judgment of trying to converse with them, some people that's inside of this neighborhood here, because it's all it's a Truman Show for me. Keep the truth of it. And so we convert when we go ahead and exchange numbers and everything. And so she texts me. I let her know I put the number in. She texts me back. She asked me if I had a wife. I told her no, I didn't have a wife. And then I thought about the question. And so I said, well, I know you said your husband was deceased, but do you have a man? And then she said, yes. So I was confused right there. I was like, okay, hold up, So I asked her, I said, well, I don't want any problems. I put, spoken Spanish on it. Don't want any problems. And so, I had to go ahead and erase that. Because we are not here to have any more more problems than it is right now. And again, those are on a terms of energy and vibration that we're sitting up here talking about. And so this is what a lot of us go through. It is not necessarily, now she did also say, speak inside her, talking about Daniela now. She went ahead and spoke inside of the thing as far as pushing people away, and sabotaging. I think that was the title of it, sabotaging relationships. I'm thinking sabotaging relationships. And you know what? I can honestly agree on that. Necessarily, particularly in my case. I'm not talking about anybody else. It's possible, most definitely. And with those people that I have done that with, I've actually reached out to or retracted to apologize, and it's not necessarily seeking any acknowledgement from people or what have you not, that I do these things for, as one suggested. Okay? It is not that at all. What it is, like I said, it goes back to colors. I'm looking at these flowers right now. Cool. Perfect timing. Goes back to colors and so forth. And those are the things, because sometimes, like language is primitive, okay? Language is primitive, and we already know what we're talking about. And so with primitives and everything, there's a lot of times it's just a lot of primates that are utilizing it at its base core. Okay, at its base core, and although because right now we're in a time of as it's speaking inside the scriptures itself, as they wrote it themselves, because they already knew. They're gonna say what is good. They're gonna say it's bad, and what's bad is good. So this is where the mind goes back in and to uh, ponder upon those things, and then feeling like, damn, God, I got God again. Okay. A lot of times I do it to myself. A lot of times I do it to myself, and a lot of the times I be on point though. And we're all like that, so to speak. But it's not necessarily because we're looking for validation from these people. We're actually looking to actually learn. And so this is like the learning process, especially when, as Carl Jung is saying, you're not able to necessarily put it into words and so forth. You're not able to put it into words because it is not too many people you've ever even come across to even be able to even have the conversations with. Okay? To even have the conversations with. So therefore, a lot of the times you don't necessarily know how to express it. And then being inside this, like I gave her a challenge, hey, not necessarily a challenge, basically, yeah, challenge, I think you could say a challenge, to go ahead and say, hey, let's switch out fucking places. Let's switch out places. And you come inside the Truman Show. All right? You come inside the Truman Show, and let me go ahead and take a little break and everything. And it's not that I would be looking in, but it's just a thing of taking a fucking break. All right? And it's not, when people say to put down this phone, it's not taking necessarily a break, especially when you're monitored with all the fucking cameras damn everywhere. All right? Even from the sky. So it's not to say you can't block that out either. It's not to say you can block that out either. I'm going back again. That was some good shade right there. It's not to say you want to block that out, either. Or try to block it out, I should say. Because it is just what it is these days, Even the forests are set up with different things to dualistically, catch in time, nature, and even people, and, it's just simply the way it is. So it's just kind of hard at times, especially when they go ahead and cut your monetaries down. They steal your car, and limit you to certain areas of a range only because, again, of your income. And it's not to say that it's going to be forever ever good, I know that. Okay. The thing of it is too is also the same, whether it be family or someone else who maybe uh, stocked upon you as prey for monetary reasons and or energetic reasons. Okay. Because they don't have the it wasn't inside their contract. It wasn't something they were chosen for. It wasn't they didn't or they chose themselves to go ahead and do before the beginning of time also, as we call it. Okay, because it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street, all of it. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I want to go ahead and say there on the subject matter. Because, but I did want to jump in there and say, express something, so one doesn't misjudge or misdiagnose what they think they're seeing. Okay, what they think that they are seeing, because then you know, for those who can't go ahead and read energy, they'll be thrown off course in trying to remedy something, or even they might even call that which you have just given a remedy in or about, there's one, into their own existence. You know? Yeah. So that's what I wanted to jump in here and share with you guys today. So yeah, it's been a very I do have two back-to-backs. What do you call them? RoboCop cars. Yeah. Jump in here and share a little bit with you. That's all. So we don't make these mistakes along the way with, again, those who are going through similar things, you know. And it was going back to the lady with, I think I mentioned, watch Kuan Yin, and it was the very next day is when she explained that of how the different utilities and sign up for this and sign up for that and so forth, how they're utilizing your energy inside of that right there within itself, and your actual data, okay, your person data, to go ahead and create more accounts and so forth. So all those things were kind of like in sync. I mean, I couldn't believe it. As soon as she spoke on it, then we had two people who came up, and even matter of fact, I didn't ask for her card, but she gave me her card again, and then I said, "What did it say? I have it right now." Oh, the underground librarian. I said, underground? What type of deep stuff? She goes, oh. And she's from England. She's from England. Tall too. Really, like I said, really thin. Hi. You guys hear that hi? Wow. Anyways, let me get on out of here. Just wanted to drop this one in. Thought form. If it resonates. Go ahead and put it like that. All right. Enjoy your day. And I will go ahead and continue to do the same with mine. And if I have offended anybody again, I want to go ahead and put it up there again. My apologies, okay? Yeah, my apologies to you, right? So, if you could brush that off and keep on going, it'd be kind of cool. All right? I'm going to do the same, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Ciao, ciao.